Hello, welcome everybody to the 2025 Connections Recap done by Sir Conte. We have tons to get through today, so we're going to jump right into it. We do have Q&A open on the right-hand side. Feel free if you have any questions throughout the session. We do have a moderator backstage who will be entering or allowing your questions in, and we can certainly answer questions as we go. And then ideally, we'll also have time to cover them at the end. Because we have a lot to get through, let's jump right into intros. I am Angelica Cabral, a demand gen marketing manager here at Sir Conte. I've been with the company for about, I think, heading in 5-6 years. I've lost track at this point. But I work closely with pretty much everybody on today's panel. I will push it over to you, Lauren, to introduce yourself and pass it along.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us today. I'm Lauren Noonan. I lead growth and alliances. I've been working with the Marketing Cloud product for about a decade and have worked through quite a few name changes over my tenure. I'm East Coast based, just north of Boston.
Hey everyone, I'm Erin Duncan. I am the Account Engagement and Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced Product Director here at Sir Conte. I have been in the Salesforce ecosphere for about 15 years, OG Pardot user, and yeah, looking forward to talking about Marketing Cloud today.
Laura, looks like you may be on. Oh, I see. Laura, you turned into Angelica again.
Yeah, I love that. I'm going to be Angelica for today. But no, really. My name's Laura Curtis. Definitely not Angelica. Fun fact about me, if you haven't already realised in the first 30 seconds, I am over the other side of the pond here in the UK. Super excited to be joining everyone today just to demystify everything that happened at Connections. I want to get people's thoughts on those polls and hear from my peers as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that's actually perfect. Let's kick things off with just some overall thoughts and reflections. And as Laura said, she's from over the pond. And some of our panelists today are seasoned Connections pros. They've been there before, but others are first times. And Laura, you were first time Connections attendee this year. Let us know in the poll on the right, everybody here, let us know where you fall in that spectrum. Have you attended Connections before? Did you follow online virtually? Go ahead and get that filled out and we'll get started with Laura, your takeaways, any big aha moments, anything that stuck out to you, anything that was a standout experience that made Connections feel really special or fun this year?
You're muted again.
Sorry?
There you go. You're muted.
Oh, okay. It's muting me now. It's just throwing me off, calling me a different name. We'll try and get through. So yeah, I made the trip over for the first time. And I think the biggest standout to me was the community. 2 intense days of community and everybody coming together with a similar mindset. But also with that came, I think, the feeling of overwhelmness throughout those 2 days, that there was a lot to capture in a short period of time. So this is why I'm really looking forward to sharing insights and hearing from others on how we can help with that feeling of overwhelmed. But yeah, my aha moment was there is a strong community out there and we travel for that community. Like we go to the ends of the earth to meet up with other people.
Yeah. And then Lauren, you've been to Connections before.
I have many times. And I was joking, like there were fewer trees on like the campground than you've really ever seen before. Like it felt less campground-esque and a lot more like in this new agentic tech era. There were robots kind of running around and they like really leaned into the vibe. So the vibe definitely felt a lot less trees for sure. But joking aside, I think it was really exciting for marketers to kind of have their moment of like agentic and AI and like those themes that kind of made this Connections a little bit different than past ones.
Yeah, of course. Big theme, AI and Agent Force. And let's jump right into that. I love everything that you guys have said. It's just interesting to see the different viewpoints and of experiences, especially being at the same event. But jumping into the AI and Agent Force big theme, we'll start off with a hot question. what did you specifically notice about how Salesforce is positioned in Agentforce and AI in general for marketers specifically right now? Was there anything surprising for you? Anything exciting? I'll pass this over to you, Erin, to kick us off, especially because you're a product director and you are in the know about this stuff.
Yeah, the Agentforce and AI capabilities for Marketing Cloud are really coming in hot and fast. We don't have dedicated Agentforce agents for marketing quite yet, but there are out-of-the-box topics like creating a campaign brief, summarizing a campaign. The AI capabilities is what I'm really seeing a lot of right now. So you can have it generate campaigns for you, even generate flows for you if you're going to use the campaign designer beta, generate content, all of that. So we're seeing a lot of both, but I think AI is a little bit bigger for marketers right now, and then Agentforce is close behind.
Yeah. Laura, sorry, did you have anything to add there?
Nope.
Oh, you know what? It was your name change that threw me off. I'm thinking it's unmute, right? Haze Rand, raise hand. Cool. Okay. So with that being said, it seems like there's a lot of other opportunity with AI and Agentforce. There definitely is beyond marketing teams right now. Let's dig in a little bit into that. Lauren, I want to tag you in here. Where else are you seeing traction with Agentforce? What other teams? And let's talk a little bit about the out of the box agents that are available for those certain teams too.
Yeah, so there's no secret that the agents that launched on the back half of last year were service rolled out first, and then it expanded to sales, and now we're getting some out of the box like topics for marketers. On the sales and service front, there's kind of two themes, and we're seeing this also hold true for marketing. Is there's agents that are focused on like productivity, so employee productivity. And then there's agents that are actually customer focused. And that is also the case at the moment for the marketing ones as well. There's FAQ automations that can help you answer questions. There's Copilot for sales that can help you understand, like as a sales rep, who should you contact next? And we're seeing those themes transcend into marketing. Like Erin said, there's an ability to create a campaign brief, report out on campaign insights for the marketer. So there's so many manual things that we do as marketers that we're starting to move the needle on productivity there. And then there's like product recommendations that can be surfaced. Technically commerce agent on the site that marketers can also take advantage of as well that are customer facing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Laura, you've been working with a customer here at Sercante launching or at least getting ramped up to launch a lot of these agents. Can you tell us a little bit about that? And specifically maybe some roadblocks and concerns they initially had? Because I'm sure there's people here that have the same. And let's see if audio will work for you. I'm crossing my fingers. No audio. If we mute again, unmute. Can hear you now. I think there might just be a little lag audio.
A delay. It's a delay from over the pond. That's what
From
you're getting.
over the pond.
Yeah. I'll do some filler chat before I go into the next questions. But yeah, definitely seeing that diversity of agents being used, that it's isn't so much always about that external agent collecting the leads, but as Lauren said, it's working internally to help those internal teams. And with this client that I've been working with, what's been a really interesting use case for an agent is that internal support mechanism for their client services teams. So if you imagine your org's probably very much the same for those folks that are on the call today, that it is a mix of lots and lots of different data across lots and lots of different objects, tabs, reports, things like that. And the purpose of this agent or this use case was to go around and collect all that key information and deliver it in a more digestible format. So it's not helping externally. It doesn't live on the website. It actually lives within core Salesforce, and those client service users can go on and chat with that agent and just say, hey, tell me a little bit more about Lauren. Can you summarize Lauren's contact record? Where is she in the journey? Give me the things that I need to know as I'm about to go on a call with Lauren. So I think that's a really interesting use case and a really broad one that could be applied to a lot of businesses out there as that kind of hand-holding support mechanism.
Yeah. Were there any initial roadblocks?
Oh yeah,
Came up? Yeah.
roadblocks. I think as with any implementation, I think the roadblocks initially come from those use cases, which I know we're going to be looking at later on today's session on how you can pick those use cases. But that was definitely a roadblock out of lots and lots of different use cases. Which one do we use? And then secondly to that is data. Data. I feel like that's another thing that I kept hearing over the 2 days. You've got to have your data. And that certainly does become a roadblock when you don't have that data. But ensuring that you have the right teams. And I think a key thing that has made this implementation work so well is that essentially we've left egos at the door. They've chosen to use Secante as a partner on that hands-on keyboard implementation work. And then we've really relied on them as the client that knows their business to help understand their data and break it down.
Yeah, no, certainly. And we'll talk a little bit more about what's everybody's advice on those roadblocks, because I know each one of you probably have advice for our audience here. But before that, we did have a question come in that I wanted to tackle. And I think, Lauren, this one's a really great one for you as well. What do you see the main difference between AI and Agentforce? I tend to equate them, and I think that's common. A lot of people do tend to equate AI and Agentforce. Internally, we had a whole discussion on, okay, it's not just Agentforce, it's AI and Agentforce. And I'll open this question for the entire group, but I'll start with you, Lauren.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Agentforce is an AI capability. Agentic AI is obviously AI, but it's not the only type of AI. There's still a lot of opportunity for propensity models and being able to predict next best action. And so I would say from an AI perspective, it is a type, but it is not all of the AI capabilities that we do see. There's still a world for LLMs and propensity models and the like.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I kind of think of it as the Agentforce is something you can customize and interact with. Like you go back and forth giving it a prompt and feedback on that prompt and customizing it to exactly what you want, where the AI features are more of a feature that you either choose to employ or not. And it just kind of gives you one response or it does one thing to help you along your journey.
Yeah, hopefully that helps answer your questions. If not, keep piling those questions in. We've got time to take them. So we just heard some really great examples of Agentforce use cases or general AI use cases from Laura, the work that she's been doing with one of her customers. Certainly we've heard roadblocks and struggles, but for those folks that are unsure where to begin, like where is that first step for people to dip their toes? At the end of this, I'm going to be sharing a resource, what we're calling internally as our AI starter kit. And I'm seeing almost over 50% of you from the poll saying like, hey, you're just exploring and getting curious about AI and what's possible now. So I will start off with kicking it off to you, Lauren. Where would you recommend people start off, take that first step just to dip their toes in?
It is going to be different for everybody. So what I generally advise customers on is like document out your biggest pain points today, and understand like for that pain point, what is it going to take to actually start testing the waters, whether it's with AI capabilities or specifically Agentforce capabilities. Because if you need to integrate a data source or you need to build a process around it, or there's some other dependency that is preventing you from trying out that AI capability, fixing that pain point is probably not where I would say priority one. So document the priorities and then understand which of those priorities have dependencies that you have to tackle first, and pick the list that either doesn't have dependencies or has light lift dependencies, and test that out. we typically do see customers are finding like the lower barrier to entry AI capabilities are employee facing rather than customer facing. So are there like some productivity saves that you could target for your team? Because those could be lower hanging fruit areas to test first.
I love that you say that, Lauren, because I just got off of a webinar with one of the Trillion Imperatives webinars with Andrea, and she was talking about identifying AI use cases. And she said it, if you were starting brand new, your team, your org was starting brand new in a garage with 6 people, what are the things that you would offload to somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
And that could also be a starting point. And I'm imagining most of that stuff is going to be internal to, start off with.
Totally.
But I'm going to pass it over to you, Laura, to talk about 2 things, because one, the emotional piece of it. I want you to talk through that, because what we've talked through in the past, like, you've always just been really good at recognizing the emotional or like mental aspects of identifying AI use cases. And it's probably because you're in the trenches with the client on it. And then maybe like the roadmap of, like, yes, the customer starting with some internal employee facing agent force implementations, but what's next, and talk about that roadmap. So a lot to chat through. Me and your audio are going to fight later today.
Yeah.
And you've got good stuff to say. We just can't
Oh
hear
my
it.
gosh, yeah.
Here
It
you
is
are.
okay, right, we're good. I'll say my piece now. So yeah, I think I feel as if I'm definitely in the trenches with those clients implementing Agentforce on a daily basis. And there is a lot of emotion with a new product, uncertainty, not sure where to turn. So I feel like my initial roadmap or advice would be, number one, go and gather all those resources. You don't know what you don't know. And I know, Angelica, sorry if this is spoiler alert, but I'm just super excited about this. The AI starter kit. Go and get that from Secante and make sure that you're gathering all of those things that are out there. So you've got all that information on what's available out of the box. What are those great starting points? What are other people doing? And then secondly to that, to dip your toes in the water, you don't need to go and conquer the world on day one. That's absolutely terrifying. But to Lauren's point, think about your use cases, your pain points, and see if there's an out of the box agent that could maybe support you in that interim. Because next up is going to be data. That is going to be huge for you to see that success with any agent, specifically if you're going to customize that agent. You're going to have to really deep dive on that data that you've got. I mentioned before that a big challenge or a roadblock was that data, and it's going to come back and bite you at some point if you don't address it. So my 3 steps, or the immediate roadmap, would be: get your data, do your research, test the water with some out of the box agents that could address some of those pain points, maybe keep it internal, and then address your data as well. And then long term, once you've got that data, that springboard, you can then start customizing and creating a lot more technically advanced agents. But yeah, there is a lot of emotion with it, and I see it from both sides. I see the folks on the call that are sat here really excited and ready to go with AI and Agentforce, and they've got a ton of ideas. But then I also see the folks in the corner thinking, I'm not moving as fast as everybody else. How can they possibly do all of this? Biggest advice, just take one step forward. Because if you're not moving forward, your competitor is. So just do something.
And just to quiet the voices of those that feel like they're already behind. I mean, most of us here responded in the poll that we're all still exploring. And I think that's a totally normal state to be in. But it's certainly the driver to really start taking this seriously. And it's not just the unspoken words of AI is cool, we should be doing this and we should be doing that. It's certainly the time to take action and take advantage of some of the features and tools, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But before we jump into other AI features available, I want to talk about what the reality is most orgs are feeling, most teams are feeling the pressure to do something with AI. And because it's something brand new, and because most leadership teams want numerical numbers to kind of prove that ROI, Lauren, I want to toss this question to you. What are some of those early on, a few metrics worth tracking to prove that early value of AI or Agent Force, even if it's not numerical? Like, is there two sides, two sides of the penny, I think is the expression. One side, both numerical, both non-numerical. What advice do you have for people asking, like, how do I actually prove the small wins?
It is so important to prove it in this current model because you are going to need to get your leadership buy-in to continue investing and expanding the AI use cases. And the success metrics will be very different for the use cases, but for like, take your internal employee facing ones. So for us as marketers, we know that there are points in a campaign go to market that take manual time. Like, think about how much time it's taking you today to write a brief, or the amount of time that it's taking you today to think through who you should target from a segmentation perspective, or how much time is it taking you post-campaign send to just digest and like answer the questions of, did this work? What were my conversion rates? And like, what should I do next? So for each one of those steps, if that is a pain point that you want to prioritize, estimate out a benchmark and a baseline today. So how long does it take you to build a brief? How long does it take you to go through and getting feedback and edits on that brief? And use that as your starting point, because then you're able to say, hey, today it takes me 2 hours to get the brief aligned across my stakeholders. In this future model, it takes me 15 minutes, to kind of, for the agent to write it, for me to give the human touch for it, and then another, say, 45 minutes for me to socialize it across my stakeholders for review. So you've gone from 2 hours to 1 hour. And that's directionally how I would advise that you kind of take this on, is baseline benchmark what it takes today and understand what is the incremental like productivity save. And the second piece to that is, if you're able to free up 5 hours of your time a week, what can you do with those 5 hours? And what's the value that those additional 5 hours could bring to the organization? Because now you've taken it from a conversation of, like, we saved 15% of the amount of time that it takes us to get campaigns out the door. And we've focused on these other things with that 15% that could add this value to the business. So that's on the internal agent. Similar on the external customer facing, although those are usually much easier to measure. So like, is the engagement metric higher? Was the conversion rate higher? Did it lead to an overall increase in revenue? Customer facing agents are a lot easier to track and quantify than internal facing agents.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the productivity hack piece of it, because I know so many of us as remote workers probably have some type of time tracker tool that we're using. Maybe that's where you head into and get those baseline benchmarks first to compare. Awesome. Okay, let's push forward. Let's shift into what's probably the biggest question that we've been hearing is, what the heck is the deal with the next gen marketing cloud, and what is that all about? There's been a lot of chatter, a lot of announcements coming from Connections, and it's left plenty of us with more questions than answers, I'm sure. So I'd like to bring in Erin here to clear up some of that noise, break it all down from us. While we get into that, hop over to the poll if you haven't filled this out, and let us know what primary marketing cloud tool you're using. It looks like most of us are on Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, aka Pardot, and we've got a few engagement users as well. So can you explain, Erin, the Marketing Cloud announcements in simple terms? And I know we've got that Venn diagram. You let me know when you want me to bring that up, because I've got that ready to go.
Yeah, let's go ahead and bring that up. So essentially right now, Salesforce has 3 marketing automation platforms. We have Marketing Cloud Engagement, Marketing Cloud Account Engagement, and then a new platform came out last year. It's Marketing Cloud Growth or Advanced Edition. It's got 2 editions right now. Now, a lot of us referred to Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced as Marketing Cloud on Core, because the whole idea of this new platform is it's taking engagement and account engagement and rebuilding it on Core. So it's taking the best of the marketing automation platforms we already know and love and rebuilding it on core where it'll seamlessly integrate with Data Cloud. Now, that is being renamed Next Gen Marketing Cloud. It's just an easier way and a clearer way to refer to it. However, one of the big announcements at Connections was Marketing Cloud Next. And that caused some confusion for people because they thought that was a brand new tool. Marketing Cloud Next is really just an umbrella term for a package of multiple products that's really showing you the future of where Marketing Cloud is going and the future of your marketing automation as a whole. So Marketing Cloud Next is marketing intelligence, loyalty, Salesforce personalization, and next gen marketing kind of all packaged together.
Hopefully this Venn diagram helps us. But we will share the slides with you. So if you want to, grab this Venn diagram and share it across your org just to help explain to your teams, you will have the ability to do that. But dive in a little bit deeper, Erin. How is this different from what engagement and Part Art users are used to today?
Yeah, so if you are an engagement or an account engagement customer today, you either already have or will get what we call a provisioning path to Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced. Essentially, that will allow you to try out the new platform, use it alongside your existing marketing automation platform, and if you want to, migrate to the new platform. No one has to migrate. The other platforms are not being end-of-lifed or anything like that. It's just an opportunity to try the new automation platform. So if you're an account engagement org, you got this provisioning path last October. You just have to have a current edition of account engagement, and then you can get your hands on Growth and Advance. If you are an engagement user, you will be getting this provisioning path this October. Some orgs may get it early. You just need to talk to your AE if you're one of those who want to be an early adopter. But other than that, all engagement orgs will get the provisioning path in October.
So for most of us here, you are account engagement users. You're falling into that just explore an AI bucket. You've had access to a lot of those features since last October. So you're ready to play. For engagement users, you will get access in October if you're not, pre-requesting it from your AEs, if you will. So Erin, for people who are either going to, ask for that provision license and want to get started as an early adopter on the engagement side, but for account engagement users, where do teams start when they want to get started with this next gen marketing cloud stuff, I guess I'll say?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do just to kind of get a feel for the new platform and its capabilities is start playing around with building campaigns and assets in it. It has a lot of AI capabilities to help you build campaign briefs, build campaigns, build your flows. The email form and landing page builders are really neat. You can do cross-object personalization. You can really get fancy with your personalization. So I would say just take like an existing campaign in your current system and try to rebuild that on Growth and Advance and just see how the options are different, how the features are different, and get a feel for it that way.
We talked last time about enabling base functionality. Did we want to talk a little bit about that, or the use of Data Cloud as well, and how people can get started that way if they wanted to dive in a little deeper?
Yeah. So this application does require Data Cloud because what it does is it uses the unified individual that Data Cloud creates. So essentially, like if you have someone in your system as maybe 2 leads and a contact, it will unify those records so you're working from the best set of your data. So Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced uses unified individuals and requires Data Cloud. Now, I know Data Cloud for some orgs, it seems big and scary. It really doesn't have to be. You can get the free Data Cloud SKU if you are dipping your toes in Data Cloud, and it does come with some credits so you can start ingesting your data and seeing how that can break down data silos, unite your data, and allow you to do better segmentation.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's important. Now, I heard you talk about migration, and nobody is required to migrate. We've heard there's no hard cutoff date for migrating. But for those who should think about migrating to Next Gen Marketing Cloud? What does that, is there a mix? What does that look like? Who should be thinking about that? What types of teams and organizations?
Yeah, so there's definitely no one being like forced to migrate or anything like that. I know I did a session right after the keynote at Connections, and we had a lot of questions about how people are going to migrate. So don't panic, don't get ahead of yourself. But if you are struggling with really bad data silos or duplicate data, or your current marketing automation system is either way too much or way too little for what you're trying to do marketing wise, Marketing Cloud Growth in Advance may be something you want to start looking at. Just start reading blog posts, start getting in the loop on what features are available, what features are coming soon, what the technical requirements are, because it could be a good next choice if you're looking to make a move or your current systems are just not supporting you well.
Yeah, and the thing that I would add too, and like what gave me a lot of comfort as like a long time Marketing Cloud engagement user is a hard cutover, a hard migration is absolutely not the path. It's not how Salesforce has been communicating it. These capabilities are designed to follow a convergence path that works for each customer. So as you heard, and as Erin has reiterated, depending on your edition, you'll have access to either growth or advanced. And like the intention is to really like learn what the capabilities are. We can help educate on what any like incremental capabilities are that you don't have access to today in your legacy account engagement or engagement org. We're in like an explore stage with the product of if you are already an existing Marketing Cloud user, like learn what it is, learn what the features could be, like test the water. But the way Salesforce has communicated it is like this is intended over time to be a product that is continued to be innovated on. It was not designed to like scare the bunnies out of the yard. So don't worry about having to do like a hard cutover migration. There's a path, but right now, like we do definitely encourage you to read up on the product, to learn what it could do, understand what the roadmap could look like, and we're here to help too. Erin has been very close to it. I've been close to it. Sercante has been close to it. We can answer questions that you may have one-on-one, and just help advise you and share how we think about it and how some of our other customers are also thinking about running both in parallel. If you're a bunny, don't be scared out of the yard, is what I would say.
I like that phrase.
Awesome. Okay. At this time, drop any Q&As that you have. We will have time to cover them. We'll leave the floor open for just a few minutes. But let's wrap up with some final thoughts and actual tactical next steps. We've talked about the data piece a little bit and how data has been a huge roadblock for our current customers today that we're working with, launching Agentforce or any other AI capabilities. What advice do we have for teams that are feeling this way today? Lauren, maybe I'll start with you. And I know the other piece of like, how do we balance like progress with AI? Like, how do we keep moving and innovating with AI, maybe even exploring the launching Agentforce products while cleaning up data at the same time?
Yeah, the analogy that I use, and like the reality is like very few of us like buy like a completely new built home, right? Where like think about like you have just bought a brand new CRM and you're piping data into it for the very first time and it's perfect and all the things and you're really ready for AI. But the reality is most of us buy a home that we make our own over time, and the to-do list for home renovation projects, it never ends. You always have to prioritize it. And so I do joke, but I really do think that that is the approach that we all need to take to data, because it's never going to be perfect. Technology is going to continue to change. The definition of perfect is going to continue to move down the field. So just understand, back to the like, document your pain points, understand what the dependencies are. Yes, like prioritize the ones that don't have a lot of dependencies, but in parallel, put together the plan to start either cleaning up the data, integrating the data is another thing that we see a lot. So that once you get through that first low-hanging fruit tranche of AI capabilities, you're ready to go with the next capabilities because you've done the due diligence and integrating the data, better harnessing the data. And in some cases, yes, there's probably going to be a data cleanup element to it, but just understand, like, emotionally, you're always going to have a backlog of data home renovation projects, and just know what they are and know where they fall in the priority, build the case and tackle them like as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And like at the end of it all, you're finally going to have clean data. Like that's the thing, right? Like at the end of it, you're finally going to have a renovated home.
Yeah, and then you'll probably sell it. So, you know, it's never gonna be perfect, ever, ever, ever.
Laura, you've been working heavily with, and a lot of people on our team as well have been working heavily with our customer that we're in an Agentforce project today with the tech team. You've been working heavily with their data IT team. Any words of wisdom, any frameworks that you've been implementing with the client in that sense? I know you haven't directly been involved in the data piece, but any whispers that you've heard? And again, I'll pray for your audio to come through from over the pond. We're gonna, you know what we're gonna have to use? We're gonna have to use the string with cans next time.
Yes.
I can hear your audio now.
Yay. Perfect. Okay. So some whispers or inspiration from behind the scenes on what I've heard working with this client's amazing IT team. I wanted to touch on Lauren's point before around home renovation. I feel like that's a really, really good way of looking at it. And even when you think you've done, there is going to be more. Like, it is never going to be perfect or never going to always be done. And I think that's the biggest thing that we've seen on this project that I'm implementing, that we'll start to chip away at things, where we'll look at those dependencies and we'll say, okay, this data really needs to be top notch. We need to make sure that this data is perfect. So we'll start chipping away and making sure that that data is good. And then just around the corner, there's another thing. So I would recommend looking at it from a more holistic point of view in your data, from kind of that bird's eye point of view, and pick up those low hanging fruits that you could tackle right now, knowing that they're never going to come to the end. But yeah, there also has to be no egos when it comes to data. There's arguments internally of, well, I want to keep it this way, and this is what that label should be on that field. But we're all supposed to be coming together for that one goal, of getting these agents up and running to support our business, whether internally or externally. So leave those egos out the door and get chipping away at that home renovation, because if you don't, the house will eventually fall down, which is a bit dramatic, but true. It's was it 20 to 7 at night here in the UK, so I'm feeling dramatic. Chip away, get that renovation done, but you don't have to go in on one weekend and pop to Home Depot and get the whole house done in the 2 days. Just chip away at it.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. And what you can do is use AI to solve your internal disputes. AI, you know, ChatGPT, which field matters?
Oh my God. I think that's the biggest blocker. That's the biggest blocker that I see with data, that it's that those internal teams arguing about what data is right and what data is wrong. It doesn't matter. We just all need to get on the same page to get to the same goal. And sort it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay. We have some interesting questions that I want to jump into before we hit our rapid fire advice or hot tips moving forward. But Justin asked an interesting question, and this one I feel like the answer is going to be like, well, it depends. But Justin asks, what if you have engagement but no CRM?
Yeah, so you do need to have Salesforce CRM to use Marketing Cloud Growth in Advanced, because it does work with, the lead, the contact, account, opportunity, campaign objects, all of that. However, it does work with Salesforce licenses and identity licenses. So, if you have a small team in your CRM, but you have a huge marketing team and not all of them need full Salesforce licenses, you can do identity licenses to kind of, navigate some of that cost.
Okay. Mary has a question here as well. If we are using account engagement and flows to manage campaign members with automations, how much lift does the change require to move to the next product? So we're talking about account engagement and flows to manage campaign members with automations. How much lift will it take to move over to the next product?
So if you're using flows and you're already used to using flows for marketing activities, you're ahead of the game, because Marketing Cloud Growth and Advanced does use flows as its automation engine. So it would be easier for you than someone who's like not using flows, doesn't know how to use flows. However, you would still, if you wanted to move some of your marketing functionality from account engagement to growth and advanced, you would still have to rebuild or kind of like translate the functionality to the new platform. It's not just like send an account engagement studio program to the new platform. You would want to rebuild it with a flow. So I wouldn't say it's a huge lift, and it's something you could do gradually since you get access to this platform included with your account engagement contract. So I would take a look at like your tried and true processes and start with those. And then eventually, once you get a feel for the new system, move to your more complicated processes.
I'm going to go rogue and ask another question. Erin, is this an opportunity where the campaign's beta feature can be used? I think that's what we were talking about, where I'm wondering if it's part of Mary's like campaign process where she's setting up that campaign and she needs to make sure those campaign members and statuses are being updated. Is this an area where that feature or tool could be used?
You're talking about Campaign Designer beta?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, you could definitely. So Campaign Designer beta uses Agentforce to build your campaign assets, and your flow. So that's something you could definitely use. Like you could basically write a summary of what your account engagement campaign is doing, feed that into Campaign Designer to have it build it for you. And it may be a little bit different, but it could kind of give you ideas and suggestions of how you could optimize it. But another thing too is if you're using account engagement and then flows to sort your campaign members with this new platform, because it uses flows as your automation engine, that's something you'll do within the campaign. So instead of having kind of a process that's broken into two platforms and two pieces, you can now start doing it all in one flow and kind of a unified, everything is in one place.
Yeah, and so Mary's on account engagement today. Does she have access to that already?
So if you are on a current edition of account engagement, you get access to Marketing Cloud Encore or Marketing Cloud Growth and Advance. Still getting used to the different names. But you do need Data Cloud to use it. So if you don't already have Data Cloud, I would get that free Data Cloud SKU or Salesforce Foundations to meet that requirement.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Erin. Okay, let's move on to Tyler's question here. We are using Marketing Cloud Engagement and utilize the Automation Studio. Does this go away in Marketing Cloud next?
So technically, yes. There's nothing in Growth and Advance called Automation Studio. However, I think the functionality won't go away. It's just going to change. I was in a webinar a couple months ago where Eric Zenz, one of the product directors for Marketing Cloud, was talking about how their aim is to not lose any functionality. Like they want to take everything that people love from engagement and everything that people love from account engagement and bring it into this new platform. So it may not be called Automation Studio, but anything you can do there, the aim is to bring it into Growth and Advance.
Yeah, and the thing that I would add there too is like there's so much reliance in Marketing Cloud Engagement on SQL. And the way that Growth and Advance are being designed is some of the reliance on SQL is going away. If you still feel like so compelled to not lose that SQL capability and that SQL skill set, there's still ways for you to use it, but it is definitely a skill set that we probably don't need in 2025 as predominantly as we've had in Marketing Cloud Engagement.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that. I don't know if others feel the same. Cool. All right, that wraps up questions that we have. Let's do a rapid fire of, let's boil down to our hot top tips of where should people go next steps after leaving today's session if they're interested in exploring more AI features, or agent force capabilities, or AI features specifically for marketers. What would be your top tips? And maybe we'll start with you, Erin.
Yeah, my top tips would be subscribe to thespotforpardot.com. We call it The Spot now, but it's Sir Conte's blog, and we write a lot about Salesforce functionality, the new marketing platform, how to do stuff in both systems. We have guest blogs too, so if you ever want to write a blog post for it, you can. But that's going to give you a lot of good information and teach you how to use these tools. And then my second plug would be to join the Pardashians community. It started as a Pardot-based Slack community, but now it's all things Marketing Cloud. And it's a great way to connect to other Marketing Cloud users and just talk about like what they're doing, how they're exploring the new platform, what troubles they're running into, what successes they have, all of that.
Yeah. And Kardashians is a spot where you can just be like, Erin, I have a question. What does this mean? How does this work? Can you jump on a call with me and figure this out? So Erin, if your schedule gets pretty packed because of me, I'll send you a Starbucks gift card or something.
Okay.
Awesome. Laura, maybe we'll try you over the pond and see if this audio plugs in. What's your quick next steps, takeaways for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Do we have the cup and string working? We're good. Connection's good. Last 15 minutes and it finally works. Top tip for me is, number one, I'm going to plug us, Secante. Absolutely. Go and get your hands on that AI starter kit. If there is one thing alone, please, like I've seen it and it is chef's kiss. Like that is your go-to for getting started on your Agentforce journey. So check that box off. Number two, if you're looking to stay on the Agentforce journey specifically, think about those out-of-the-box agents. Don't go diving into the sea. Dip your toes in the water and start simple and easy. Have a look at what's already out there, plug it in, see how it works, start seeing that return on investment, and then get further and further out. If you're more of the AI and Marketing Cloud next gen, I would say definitely if your account engagement, start using those features already. As Erin said, start identifying some use cases, maybe a campaign or two where you can start to utilize those new features and functionality over on that side. But really my key takeaway is don't be scared that you see everybody else appearing to move faster than you. Just make sure that you're taking some steps. And they could be super baby steps over the next 6, 12 months or whatever, but you're still moving forward. So yeah, don't think about everybody else. Just focus on you and make baby steps forward.
It's funny. That's what they tell my boyfriend in yoga. Don't look at anybody else. Focus on your own practice.
Yes, that's it. Focus on yourself.
How about you, Lauren? What are your hot tips for people going on?
I know it's hard to go last because you guys like took all mine. Like literally, Laura, what you just said of like, you know, don't be afraid. But yeah, just to echo, I mean, it can feel overwhelming and like everybody around you on LinkedIn is making strides and doing the things and testing things out. And that may or may not be the reality. So identify a couple of use cases that make sense for your organization and your role, and you know, just don't be afraid to test some things out. There's tons of resources out there, Sercante being one of them. If you do have questions or you're trying to think about where do I start, you don't know where to start, we can help you guys quickly prioritize and get to that point.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you all for sharing your...
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Yeah, I was just going to say, I thought we still had connection there. I was going to say, I focused on a lot of the side where people are feeling overwhelmed, but I'm sure there's people out there that are ready to dive in and tackle Agentforce, AI, and are already doing amazing stuff. So I guess my recommendations for those folks would be shout it from the rooftops, start sharing it with your peers. To Erin's point, get on the spot and start submitting blogs. What awesome stuff are you doing with AI and Agentforce that other people can help, can learn and share from? So yeah, I don't think it's always I'm scared, I'm overwhelmed. You've got the other people in the corner that are really going in hard on it. So my recommendation or advice for them would be share that insight, share it with the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
That's it.
Okay. Well, with that, then I have a few more resources. Everything that the team has talked about today, from the spot to the Kardashian Slack channel, I am going to be sending a follow-up email to everybody with links directly to all of that. In addition, we have a few awesome webinars and trainings coming up that I did want to share. If you are on account engagement or engagement today and you do want to see the capabilities of Next Gen Marketing Cloud, in just a few weeks here, Erin also will be hosting another webinar specifically diving into those AI-based capabilities. So again, you will get a link to this. You can also go right to our website and get access to the sign up registration here, or you can scan, as I know all of us probably have our phones right next to us. Um, the other thing we have to share is the infamous AI starter kit that everybody's talking about. We have some demos there so you can check out. We have a framework that we've used with customers that they're using. We have some hot tips on how to get over some of that AI anxiety, we're calling it. And then lastly here, if you are one of those people that are ready to dive in and really want to identify those AI use cases, at the end of next month, we do have an AI workshop that our growth team, our tech team is going to be leading, and they're going to be working one-on-one with individuals on looking at your organization, where the gaps are, identifying those opportunities where AI can just swoop on in and help that and help you in that area. So with that, that is everything we have for you folks today. We hope that you enjoyed it all. Any feedback, send it over to us, marketing@sercante.com. And then again, as a reminder, you will be getting this replay emailed to you and all the resources as well. So thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.